When I started researching first responders, my heart opened up. I found out that when they sign up for this job, they say, yeah, statistically I could die 15, 20 years younger than a normal human. I'm going to have maybe 8 times more cancer, 3 times more cardiovascular events, and PTSD. We lose more first responders to suicide than on the job. And I was into proactive, preventative tactics. In fact, I was the weirdo when I was 39 years old. I got a full body MRI. And people are like, what are you, stupid? I'm like, no. If I have stage 1 cancer inside me now, I want to kick its butt. If I don't know about it proactively, it's going to get me in the end. I'll be dead, right? So I started thinking, I was studying these modalities for an sports enhancement project, and I started thinking, why do wealthy people and elite athletes have these types of tools? Why not our heroes? And so we created the recharge room for first responders, a way to honor our heroes. And my only intention doing this was to help out. So I donated 3 recharge rooms to Gilbert, Arizona, 1 in a fire station, 1 in a police station, and 1 in their big training facility. And they started using it, and we started tracking the results and followed some standardized question protocols, and people's jaws started dropping on the results that I'm going to share with you that were happening to these first responders in Gilbert. So then the next thing I know, Glendale, Arizona calls, and Peoria and other cities start calling us saying, hey, we want to talk to you about this as well. And like Matt alluded to, you're pushing rocks up hills with government, right? So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm used to living in dog years. You deal with government, it's like sloth years. Right? And time kills deals, right? But this thing just kept growing. So we formed an entity called the Positive Impact Alliance. And we're basically a group of entrepreneurs, academics, nonprofits, and public servants all working together to improve the lives of our heroes, of our first responders and other public servants, right? And so as we started gathering more data, these are some of the challenges that I mentioned that our first responders face. Here's more specific results that they got. So every time they used the recharge room, they'd have a survey pop up, and they'd answer these survey questions, and we're collecting data, right? And I call this the continuous data loop. So now we can see what their feelings are, we can understand what the results are, and then we can use that in the Positive Impact Alliance to collaborate together to keep improving what we're doing to help our first responders. Oh, and side note, back 22 years ago, instead of the CEO or the chairman of the board or the founder, I changed my title. I'm the PI. So 23 years ago, I became the PI instead of CEO, and PI stands for Positive Impact Executive. And that's what life is about, kind of, right? You're inspirational. You lead with transparency, with love, with work-life balance, and just do good things, right? And so as we saw the results, like, holy mackerel, this is working good. Here's just some highlight results. So in Gilbert, they just reported their annual results from the recharge rooms that they had 3 of them. The first thing they reported is, this is over 1,200 surveys now, and 78% started sleeping better. For first responders, sleep is a mess. And sleep is a big cause of a lot of issues. 94% said they felt more relaxed, less anxiety. 92% felt improvements in their general moods. 91% decrease in stress, and then 87% felt less chronic aches and pains and things like that. When you're a first responder and you're in the business for, let's say, I don't know what you guys would say, like maybe 5 years or so, these chronic aches and pains, you just live with them. You're carrying stuff in the fires all the time. You got your vest on as a police officer, and over time, you just used to take an ibuprofen and lidocaine, and your life is kind of just the pain, and that's how it works. So we started getting these results. So here's some testimony. So a couple of interesting ones. I find myself falling asleep better after a midnight call. So here you are, firefighter, you're on the night shift, you get a call at 11 p.m., you go out, it's a heart attack, it's a car wreck, you fix them up, you go back, you try to go back to bed. Now you go back to bed, it's midnight. All of a sudden, man, the bell rings again at 12:40, and you're out of bed again, and you go into the next call, right? So he was able to kind of get back into his rest state quicker and get out. This is an interesting one. This is something we're studying right now with the University of Arizona. Typically when a firefighter fights a fire, they smell like smoke for like, what do you think, 2-3 days, right? And anything they do, they take 10 showers, they use charcoal soap, it doesn't really matter what they do, they smell like smoke. Firefighters, remember, 8 times more likely to have cancer than normal civilians, right? So these 2 captains were doing burns all day, training classes on fires, and they got done, they're like, let's do a recharge room, it always feels so good. And they do the recharge room, and they get done, and the one guy's like, dude, you don't smell like smoke. And the other guy's like, you don't smell like smoke. Either don't say anything. They both go home, and both of their wives are like, did you cancel the fires today? You don't smell like smoke. So that was a year and a half ago. Now we do post-fire protocols, and they don't smell like smoke. So the doctors are thinking. And by the way, they did a test with just a sauna in Scottsdale Fire. Dr. Burgess, one of the doctors on our board of advisors, and they still smell like smoke. So why do in the recharge room don't they smell like smoke? So when I came up with all this in my head, my nickname is Group Hug Ganley. And synergy, so I call this the synergy of togetherness. Together we're stronger, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. Now we call it biostacking. So what the doctors think is that when the recharge room is a 33-minute circuit, the first station you do full body immersion with big panels but upright while wearing a headset that plays sound healing and vagus nerve stimulation. Well, vagus nerve, the wandering nerve, right, touches all 9 of your major organs, right? So when I'm out of balance in my vagal tone, right, I'm not going to accept healing as efficiently anymore, let's say, right? So they think by the red light improves circulation, reduces inflammation. The vagus nerve organizes our 9 major organs to tune in your parasympathetic, rest and digest. Then getting into the sauna, my body's having a deeper, more meaningful connection and purge, followed by a quick shower, and top it off with the 3 minutes in cold water immersion, and they don't smell like smoke. So we're going to start studying the biological parts of that post-fire test, post-recharge room test, and see, in fact, if we can help reduce cancer rates, because they don't smell like smoke. That's good. It's a good sign, but it doesn't mean it's going to help. So we'll find that out eventually, right? Here's another guy, and I can't really see these from my angle, but Ambien's a big thing. On days off, a lot of firefighters, a lot of cops, they take Ambien because they can't sleep. So they're off of Ambien, they're off of sleeping pills. And we have, these are just like 6. We have, honestly, like probably 300 unsolicited testimonies like this from different first responders, okay? We have a recharge room app too. So the app's really cool because they go through a safety and instructional training video sessions on each modality. After that, they pass a quick little quiz on it that an OSHA person from Glendale helped us develop. And then they're able to register and be part of the recharge room. And now they can schedule their sessions. They can check in. They can check out. We have a whole resiliency library where there's a mental health, emotional health, family health, financial health, and they click it. But if you guys ever notice, in today, you do mental health on Google or ChatGPT, you get a bazillion different answers. You need like a PhD in puzzles, right? And so, and what do you believe in even? Isn't some 17-year-old blogger telling you something that doesn't know what the heck they're talking about, right? So we partnered with a nonprofit called the 100 Club. Since 1964 has been dedicated to serving first responders in line of duty deaths, health and wellness training, and they have an entire library of legitimate, reliable, science-based evidence, articles, videos, training videos, networks of psychologists that we've heard earlier from a first responder standpoint. You can't just go to a regular therapist as a first responder. Most therapists will poop their pants when they hear the stories, these first responders. The average first responder sees 700 critical incidences on average in their 20-year career. Me as a civilian, I'm lucky if I don't see one. Right? So this app is now allowing them right in the palm of their hand to immediately, instantly connect with others, connect with articles, information, videos, and other things. But it's also helping us have this continuous data loop from now. So let's say Gilbert, Arizona, they were brainwashed. And their results, they were just lying through their teeth. This one doctor said that to me. He goes, well, subjective data. I'm like, well, It's pretty good. He goes, yeah, it's pretty good. But maybe they were drugged or something. Who knows? So now that other agencies are using the recharge room, their results, we have cross-corroborated data now, which means that their results have been as good or better than Gilbert. So now it's a beautiful thing, right? So recharge room, you schedule your session, so I check in, then I do red light therapy, and we give basic education to them. They can dig deeper through the app. I can go all the way to Tom Seeger level of knowledge on stuff, right, which is, he's brilliant, right? And so they can say simple or they can go long. So the first red light session is 10 minutes, and at the same time, they wear these headsets that actually this young PhD, his name's Nick Hoole, brilliant young man. He grew up in Arizona, went to high school in Arizona. He was going to become, everyone thought, like the Tiger Woods, the next Tiger Woods, right? He gets out of high school and he freaks out. He can't golf. He's like panic attacks. So he says, I don't know why. So he decides to go to ASU, Arizona State, and he becomes like a PhD in neuro, you can't even pronounce it. And while he was there, he created one of the first ever non-invasive vagus nerve stimulators, enters a contest, and won $100,000 over like MIT and Harvard and Cal Poly, and he took his money and he started a company called Coolest.com. And he sells these vagus nerve stimulators to consumers all over the place, right? So he made these headsets, and these headsets are Bluetooth, so I can play the Calm app, anything I want to play, and it's electric stim on my vagus nerve. So the nice thing is, it's kind of like a rapid stress recovery tactic. A lot of patrol cars now are using the little key fob stimulator because patrol officers are by themselves all day. Now they can lighten the load during the day, right? So first station, we're going to be doing 4 things. They're standing on a grounding mat. I know it's not that great, but not as good as the lawn outside. They're standing on a grounding mat. They're getting sound healing, vagus nerve stimulation, and red light, session 1, 10 minutes, okay? Session 2, they're now going to go to the infrared sauna. Now they're going to get chromotherapy lighting, they're going to get sound healing, and they're also going to get all the benefits, if you will, of heat and infrared sauna. We're also working with a PhD now to come up with some brain plasticity games that we can play in the sauna. So the problem with the sauna for me is I want to, relax, right? But I have my phone, of course, like we all do. And your phone, after 10 minutes in the sauna, what happens? It poops out. It doesn't work. So what did I do? I Googled like crazy, and I found this little bag. You put your phone in this bag, you can still operate your phone, and it has a ice thing under it. So now my phone stays in there, and now I can play my brain games and stuff, right? So the sauna, you can do nothing. You can listen to sound. You can do whatever you want. That's a 20-minute session. So now I've done 30 minutes. Next one, cold plunge. Now, I want to highlight this a little bit because probably out of every modality that we have in the recharge room, we get the most positive comments, the most profound they feel like results, right, from the cold therapy once they get into the cold therapy, right? And so when they do the cold therapy, of course, there's some of the benefits of cold therapy. But thanks to pioneers like Tom and others, we're teaching our first responder heroes now different tactics on using cold, right? So we can do recovery tactic, post-physical therapy, post-workout, right? Post, we can do cold then. But we're also, as we know from Tom and research that he's done and everything that's pointing in this direction, is if you pre-chill your body prior to physical activity, you can boost your workout, you can boost your brown fat, which is critical. And in fact, I think Sean Smiley shared some research that was done on cancer reduction with brown fat, how it slows the growth of cancer in the cells. And so the brown fats are really important, and Tom could tell us all about brown fat. But the other thing it does is it boosts testosterone, which our last speaker today, you're going to hear like a miraculous example of what happens with testosterone and some other things in the human body. So cold has been phenomenal. Cold's easy. Now we have different tactics. Post-fire, you get back to the station, you're beat to heck. It's 120 degrees out. You feel like you're going to die. You get back, boom, quick cold plunge. It's a quick tactic. Now I'm back ready to go. I'm ready for the next call, right? We started out initially a year or two ago where you weren't allowed to use it on shift. Now we're using it on shift. The medical directors, the evidence, the response time, the alertness, the awareness is all enhanced, in fact, by using these tactics on duty. Okay? So there's a survey that I talked about, kind of pops up, and they're standardized IAB types of questions. I didn't know what IAB meant until Tom taught me. The other thing, too, is we put them in fire stations. We put them right where our heroes work, so they're available immediately for them, right? Easy to use. Because the human mind, if I have to go somewhere to do it, I'm probably not going to do it. But if I'm working there and it's there, I'm going to do it. So our usage in Gilbert, by the way, was 3x higher than any other program they've ever kicked off. So we can do it here. Next slide's kind of interesting. Maybe they don't have space. So we call this the plug and play the recharge way. So we take a Connex box, we build it out, we drop it on the parking lot at the fire station because they had no room inside. It has a whip tail. We plug it in, instant recharge room. Plug and play the recharge way, right? Okay, pushing the rock up the hill. Okay, the bureaucrats want to know what the return on investment is. And as an entrepreneur, I always think that way. So I didn't know any better, but just to show how they're saving money. So in Gilbert, as an example, they just reported they saved $1.5 million in 1 year on retention benefits alone with the 3 recharge rooms. Not to mention, what happens if 78% of your humans are sleeping better, or 86% have less chronic aches and pains? What does that mean to your healthcare costs, to your sick day costs, to your use of force statistics, to your officer engagement statistics, right? Things like that all improve. So now that we have cross-corroborated data, we have multiple sites in action, we have shown city managers and fire chiefs that if you put a recharge room in or use these tactics of some of these modalities, it's like a 5x return on investment. So our motto now at the Positive Impact Alliance is, people say, what do you do? I say, here's what we do. We maximize human capital and create profit centers where we used to have cost centers for our public safety departments. Okay? Here's just some of the current departments that we're working with now, and some of the other partner companies that we're approached by, some of the universities. Okay, this just talks about, we were talking earlier, today's employee or staff member is different than a generation ago. And Gallup did a study, I think it's down there on the bottom, that said, what's most important to you on the job as an employee? And for the first time ever, like 60% said balance, well-being, and do they care about me, right? So synergy of togetherness. What we're doing now is just a couple of peeks to the future. The recharge rooms are doing great, expanding nicely. We're about to start the first ever mobile plasma pop-up service for public safety that could reduce cancer dramatically in our public safety personnel. More to come on that. And we're also doing a couple of pilot tests now. We're doing a pilot with the Salvation Army for their adult recovery clinic. And we're going to integrate these resiliency building tactics into a recovery scenario to help these men and women recover better, healthier, stronger, more resilient, right? And then we're doing one at a VFW, at Guy's Post down in San Diego, where the VFW people have said, the VFW, that's like a death place. It's dark. It's where you get drunk. And so this VFW is turning into a place of light and health and wellness. And so we're going to see how that vibrates in that environment. And then the final one is the hospitality industry has contacted us. For hotels, want to now offer, hey, travel with us, wake up the next day, feel recharged and regrouped, right? We're going to call that one the Recharge Lounge, right? So just some of the things that the synergies of togetherness that we're working on. And I want to just say, Tom, thank you. You've been an inspiration to me. You were early, just like Matt said. You're gracious with your time. You're always available. You're a wealth of knowledge, and it's an honor for me to be here at this conference. And it was funny, after I went in my own Morosco tub this morning at 33.5 degrees and broke my ice up and had a beautiful time, I was driving over here going, man, bet you 20 years from now, this freaking conference is going to be gigantic by then. And it's already growing so much now, but just think about what it's going to be like as society understands what it means to be proactive and preventative. So I'm honored to be here with all of you, and that's kind of my gig, is the Recharge Room for First Responders and the Positive Impact Alliance. Okay? Thank you.